To the content on American literature, O. Henry is the Ransom of the Red Chief. O. Henry was born in the year 1862 and he died in 1910. He was born as William Sidney Porter and he was the son of a doctor and an artistic mother on September 11, 1862, Carolina. According to O. Henry, I did more reading between my 13th and my 19th years than I have done in all the years since. Have a look at the picture of O. Henry and his family. Now let's see the jobs done by O. Henry became an short story writer. At 15, O. Henry's formal schooling ended. He took an apprenticeship at his uncle's pharmacy. At 19, he became a licensed pharmacist. After his marriage in 1862, O. Henry began perfecting his short stories, which he previously had written simply to entertain his own friends. To pay the bills, he took on a job as a banker and worked as a reporter and occasional cartoonist for a Houston newspaper. O. Henry's style. Eventually, O. Henry wrote around 300 short stories, 65 in 1904 alone during his 10-year literary career. Nearly all his short stories included his signature surprise ending, or snapper as he called it. This is O. Henry's house in Austin, Texas. Let's now see O. Henry's philosophy on writing. O. Henry says, I'll give you the whole secret of short story writing. Rule 1. Write short stories that please yourself. There is rule 2. These are the golden words said by O. Henry. You can't write a story that's got any life in it by sitting at a writing table and thinking. You have got to get out into the streets, into the crowds, talk with people, and feel the rush and throb of real life. That's the stimulant for every short story writer. This was said by O. Henry in the year 1902. O. Henry exemplified his philosophy into his variety of life experiences and travels to North Carolina, Texas, and New Orleans. O. Henry wrote stories about a variety of people, and his characters were diverse. Crooks, chiefs, policemen, cowboys, aristocrats, conmen, poverty-stricken people, daily people, and millionaires. This is a scene from the story The Ransom of Red Chief. You can find here a little boy almost threatening a man. Now let's have a peek into the short story The Ransom of the Red Chief. The Ransom of the Red Chief was first published in the year July 6, 1907 issue of the Saturday Evening Post. It follows two men who kidnap and demand a ransom for a big amount from a wealthy Albanian. They kidnap his son. Eventually, the men are driven crazy by the boy's spoiled and hyperactive behavior, and they pay for the boy's action to the boy's father, and they plead his father to take him back. Have you ever heard of a story like this? We'd have seen only kidnappers taking away children and demanding a big ransom, and the parents pleading with the kidnappers for their dear and loved ones. But here, O. Henry gives a surprise twist to the ending. The story and its main idea have become a part of popular culture, with many children's television programs depicting versions of the story as one of their episodes. It has also been often used as a classic example of two ultimate comic ironies. A supposed hostage actually linking his abductors and enjoying being captured, and his capture getting their just desserts by having the tables turned on them, and being compelled to pay to be rid of him. The setting of Ransom of the Red Chief was written in 1910 and set in a small town called Summit, the deep south of Alabama. The story of the ransom of the Red Chief has become a familiar cultural theme. The most notable is the Home Alone and Dennis the Menace movies. Let us now see what Red Chief means. Red Chief means a person with overall responsibility for the efficient running of a company. The story is a straightforward narrative. Red Chief is the name of Johnny's first alter ego and indicative of the mess that Sam and Bill are about to get themselves mixed up in. Of course, because of the little boy they have kidnapped. The little boy named Johnny Dorset, who calls himself Red Chief, is delighted with being kidnapped because it lets him escape from the discipline and chores of home. The story takes place in Alabama, as Sam tells readers in the second sentence of The Ransom of the Red Chief. We were down south in Alabama, Bill Driscoll and myself, when this kidnapping idea struck us. The little boy annoys them, irritates them. We find here narrator to be Sam, and Sam is literally narrating the story, giving now and then comic relief to the readers. The tone and mood of the story is humorous, and the theme is kidnapping, of course, poetic justice. The protagonists are the two adventurers, none but Sam and Bill, and the antagonist is the little boy, Johnny Dorset, the son of the wealthy Albanian. There is foreshadowing technique used in the story. The boy is not afraid of his kidnappers, which foreshadows troubles for the men. There is allusion used in the story by O. Henry. It narrates and interweaves the biblical legend about David and Goliath. There is paradox in the story. The little boy is capable of making the two criminals almost lose their minds. There is metonymy and senectude. Summit couldn't get after us with anything stronger than constables. Imagery is also there in the story. The place to hide and the peaceful town, a little mountain covered with dense cedar brake as a place of refuge. There are screams of the boy. We might assume no, but there are screams, but the screams of the kidnappers, screams of Sam and Bill, who are literally tortured with a little boy. They weren't yells or howls or shouts or whoops or yelps, such as you'd expect from a manly set of vocal organs. They were simply indecent, terrifying, humiliating screams, such as women emit when they see ghosts or caterpillars. There is irony, and there are two ironies in the story. The first one is a situational irony. Situational irony is when the opposite of what you expect to happen occurs. Here, the two kidnappers need money to just go around and have a good deal about themselves, and of course, to start a new business. But unexpectedly, the tables get turned, and the boy is almost making them to give money to their father to hand over him. And the second one is the verbal irony. Verbal irony is an irony where words express something contrary to truth, or someone says the opposite of what they really feel or mean. It is often sarcastic. An example of verbal irony here in the story is the kidnapper is pretending to have been kidnapped by the boy he kidnapped. This sets up a humorous juxtaposition, but also serves as foreshadowing technique in the story. The two kidnappers, Sam and Bill, sign the letter which they keep in the father's house as desperate men, here indicating desperate for money. So, some more examples here for irony in the story are a troubled sleep, paying the ransom instead of receiving, and nerves of the kidnappers going down. There are similes, metaphors, and symbols in the story. Some examples. It looked like a good thing, but wait till I tell you. Over forward summit, I expect to see the sturdy yeomanry of the village with silks and petticoats beating the countryside for the dastardly kidnappers. There was a sylvan attitude of solemnous sleepiness pervading the section of the external outward surface of Alabama that lay exposed to my view. The boy put up a fight like a Welker cinnamon beer. And once Sam heard a heavy thud and a kind of a sigh from Bill, like a horse gives out when you take his saddle off. Burning one gate, Bill gets down on all his fours, and a look comes into his eye like a rabbit when you catch it in a trap. And here we have the victim of the kidnapping, little Johnny Dorset, a current chief, who has played his tricks and pranks on the two kidnappers. And there is biblical allusion. King Herod is a symbol of Bill's increasing frustration with Red Chief. These are the references for this presentation. You can enjoy the story through this link. Thank you for watching. Smile and live happily.